is Saturday morning. It is bright and early, and we have another race sim today. My original plan for this race sim was to do a 4-hour ride with 3 hours at race power with a 1 hour runoff to 90-minute runoff, but it is raining pretty hard and it's pretty wet. So I'm going to change it up a bit. I'm gonna go swim first in the lake, hop out of the lake, drive back here, and I'm gonna bike on the trainer because with it being this wet outside and this point in my training, I really don't want to risk an accident, especially with the poor visibility and the route I would be riding I won't be super familiar with. And then running off the bike, which honestly should be better now that it's wet and rainy, so it's not so hot, and hopefully I can manage my thermal stress a little bit better. For now, it's time to get that caffeine in me.
Does anybody want coffee? Who wants coffee? I just made a fresh pot of coffee. Does anybody want coffee?
My plan is to be at the lake when the sun is up, so I'm swimming in the light and I don't get run over by a boat, knock on wood. Locked, loaded, and ready to go. Got a Rice Krispie Square for on the way to the lake. Got some caffeine for between the swim and the bike when I'm driving home. It is kind of wet outside, like it's actually really wet outside. It's kind of too bad because I was hoping to do my ride outside today, because riding on a trainer is mind numbing. But then again, I could just turn it into a mental practice, because it's not like race day is gonna be easy. So if you do hard in training, it makes race day a little less hard. But then again, what do I know? I've never done an Ironman before, so this is all part of the learning curve. Bro, it's not even 6 in the morning. How do I still have every red light? This is rigged. Kind of a miserable looking day. It was just over 2K. Average pace, I think, was like a 153 per 100, which is a little slower than my goal pace. But I will admit I was not very mentally locked in on my cues, and I was definitely not swimming in a straight line. So not as bad as it could have been, but definitely leaves a lot to be desired on the table. Out of the water before 7 o'clock, so hopefully I can get home and get on my bike by 7:30, so there's not too much of a gap between. But I'm also going to make sure I rehydrate and refuel properly, because staying on top of that means I'm at a better chance of recovering properly, and that is more important than the most realistic race simulation I can make today. With age comes wisdom. About 20 minutes late getting on the bike. Now we're in. A little caffeine boost. I realized that all of this is just science paired with mental resilience. Total time was about 3 hours, 15 minutes on the bike, average 247 watts with 3 hours continuous at 250 to 255 watts. Heart rate was really stable. Now it's time to toss on the running stuff and hit the pavement. Okay, done the run. So this is a recap of the entire workout. If you can't tell by the little grin on my face, it went really well. From the swim to the bike to the run, hitting race paces with pretty comfortable RPE across all three. Again, eased into the bike and the run, so it wasn't truly exactly what race is going to be like, but between the bike and the run was within 5 minutes. To the run, it didn't feel any harder at the end than it did at the beginning, and with these race simulations and race specific workouts this past week and a half,
practicing my nutrition strategy. It also was not a limiting factor today, which I'm super happy with, because if fitness can be the limiting factor in 2 weeks, especially on the run, well, across all three, that would be very awesome, and I think that would put me in a very good place. Also done by 12:30, so that means I have a lot of time to rehydrate and refuel and even get some work done today in hopes of getting a good sleep and recovery tonight. Heading to a coffee shop to do some work, because I feel like public places make me be more productive. Plus, I get coffee and a sweet treat. And I don't even want to think about how much caffeine I will consume by the end of the day. Hopefully, I do not have a myocardial infarction. But at least training went well today, and I'm being a productive member of society. 2 hours of work done at the coffee shop, which was good. The scone was good, very worth it. Now heading to Josh's to finally return his lactate meter, and we're gonna do a bit of taper and race strategy talk and how to plan for a long course triathlon. And Josh is somebody that has a lot more experience than I do and is kind enough to help me out. So shout out Josh Witt. Had a pretty good chat with Josh about taper and race plan. So I think we have a pretty good plan in place, and kind of see how it goes moving forward. It's Sunday. My original plan today was to do an easy swim and some mobility and activation in the gym, and then do my last long run tomorrow before starting my taper. But today I actually recovered from yesterday's race sim fairly well. It helps because I finished at 12:30, so I had half the day to refuel, and I also got like 9 or 10 hours of sleep last night, which is very clutch. So I woke up and my recovery metrics are all within range today, and my hip feels pretty good. So I'm gonna go do this swim and mobility and reassess, and if I think I can get my long run done today, that way I can start my taper tomorrow, I will do so. But if I'm not 100% confident that it won't set back my hip at all, then I'll hold off today, use it as a recovery day, and then go tomorrow. After that swim and mobility session, my body actually feels pretty good.
Are you okay?
Me? I feel like $1 million.
So I'm gonna go home and eat, get some caffeine in me.
Decked up on 10,000 milligrams of caffeine, Mean Gene. I can see sounds.
And then assess if I'm gonna run or not. Right now, I'm kind of leaning toward running today and getting it done with, because how long and how much work I put into this build, I think that a full 2 week taper is going to be more beneficial. Decided in favor of running today just to get it done. I'm driving down to the waterfront because I don't want any elevation on this run. I want it to be as flat as possible, because my excuse seems legit, is that I want to avoid any unnecessary eccentric loading through my rectus femoris, because I think that if I do too much downhill, it might aggravate my hip a little bit more than if I'm just on a flat surface. But I also just hate hills when I'm running, so it's both a legitimate and a lazy reason. But I don't have any plan for pace. I'm kind of just gonna go by feel and not push it at all. This is really just trying to get my hip back into a decent place of durability and give me some more confidence. I'm a legitimate bonehead right now, so I got halfway there and realized I forgot my shoes, so I had to turn around, grab my shoes. Don't worry, I got them now. But when I pulled up to my house, I was like, obviously I'm in a rush, or like that feeling you get whenever you forget something. You're like, oh, I just jog into the house, grab it quick, come out, leave. So I'm like jogging up my driveway, and you already know where this is going. So there's our front porch, try and like jog up the front porch, and I caught the toe of my Burke on the step, and I literally stumbled 4 steps, almost face planted. But then since I caught myself, I'm still like standing and fumbling forward. So then I almost face planted into our house, which would have been really embarrassing. I don't think anyone was watching, but if they did, I looked like a complete loser. Please be patient with me as I ramble about this run. So it was a total just over 18K. Average pace was a 5:45 per K. Average heart rate was 139. Few things to note. One is that this is the first time I've run on back-to-back days since before I injured my hip. So I was a little bit tentative and nervous because of what I did yesterday, kind of being scared that this would be too much. So I was quite careful. My hip felt good, so I'm not as worried as long as I focus and I recover properly tonight and tomorrow. The next thing is my pace. So while it was not a fast pace by any means, it was very easy. Like my RPE was probably a 3.5 or 4 the entire time, which matches up nicely because my pace was steady. It varied a little bit on some of the sliding inclines and declines, but overall my pace was steady the entire run, and a very good piece that gives me a lot of optimism and confidence is my heart rate. My heart rate average on kilometer 2 after I warmed up was exactly the same as my last kilometer. So I had absolutely 0 cardiac drift, which I'm super stoked about. Like while this is an easier pace, that should be the case, but over an hour and 45 minutes of running, the fact that there's like not even a hint of a drift is pretty indicative of me having a very solid aerobic base, as well as this being the day after a big day yesterday. I think that's mostly it for my thoughts on this run. That was my last workout of peak week, which means I'm in my taper, and I don't know how this makes me feel. It's kind of exciting because that means it's a new stage of learning. Like I've never tapered for an Ironman before, so it's a new concept to me. So learning it, experiencing it, and playing around, I'm kind of looking forward to. Also, because I'm done my training and I'm into my taper, it means I'm going to realize that I'm legitimately doing an Ironman in 14 days, which I laugh at saying because it's absurd, but it's also so intimidating.
Oh, scary. Oh, shiver my timbers.
I don't know any other way to react. It's like absurd that I'm doing this, and the fact that I think I'm genuinely ready for this.
No question about it, I am ready to get hurt again.
Looking back and reflecting on past Jacob, I played volleyball for years, so I fell in love with volleyball probably in middle school. In grade 9 is when I realized that I'm actually decent at this sport and I could probably play post-secondary. So from grade 9 on, I pretty much commit. So any athletic decision, a lot of my decisions were kind of determined by volleyball, which I did play post-secondary. I played for Camosun College for a year where we won provincials and nationals in the CCAA. It was sweet. And then I transferred to Nipissing University in North Bay, Ontario, where I am now, obviously, and I played for 2 seasons. Obviously, I stopped playing, and since I stopped playing, I've developed this passion for endurance sports, which was birthed, I guess, out of me finally getting my together academically and kind of liking the science and the science behind aerobic training. Anyway, all this to say, up until 14 months ago, I had never run further than 5 kilometers. And now I'm doing an Ironman.